Yes, look who we found, Lee. We found him. I am so excited to be seeing him again. And he's looking in such good condition. It's probably about 400 meters or so from where we were checking earlier. And it's just so helpful having radios, because we were able to get obviously confirmation of his whereabouts through one of the other guides. And here he's sitting in a little bit of shade on a termite mound. I was sure when we got to the last position that he wasn't there, because the animals were very, very relaxed. But from where we saw those impala fighting and the dam, he's kind of on the opposite side in a straight line from where we were looking up. So he's not far away from all these animals, and I don't think they realize there is a leopard sitting here on the bank of this termite mound, waiting. I think it might be a bit warm for him, but he blends in beautifully. From a distance, he's pretty much invisible. Everyone's saying hello to you, young man, and he is lapping up the hellos. I haven't seen him in some time, so very, very happy for that. Ferg is as well. Hey, Fergie, always happy. My favourite young man. I've no doubt he will come and say hello to us shortly. But there are 2 vehicles with us in the sighting, and others who are very interested, of course. But don't worry, folks, we're not going anywhere. I'm going to follow him. The only time we'll stop following him is if he crosses north into Torchwood, which is a possibility, but hopefully with all this food hanging around Chitwa Dam, he'll be staying here. Ah, there we go. Is he going to get up and move now? Normally when these cats yawn, it's time for them to start stretching, having some ablutions, relieving themselves, and then they move. But it is a little bit hot, but he hasn't done the best of jobs in covering himself in the shade. I think he's more on a lookout sort of mission than he is on a shade mission. He's just sitting under a little raisin bush there, nicely elevated. You can see the elevation is taller than we are in the car. He's about the same sort of vantage point that Ferg has where he sits. So we've seen this behavior by lots of leopards. They like to get a little bit of elevation and then move down to the area to try and hunt. Peggy, I'm not sure where Tingana is actually. I was not out this morning. I was lucky to have a sleep in. But I've no doubt he's not too far away. He's probably hiding in Chitwa Lodge again, maybe, enjoying the luxury at no expense to himself. Maybe Hosana will walk us straight to Tingana just now, as we've seen him do a few times. Such bizarre behavior that we do see, and those of you who will remember on my interview, we saw the 2 of them together, very close to where we are right now. Luca, I've never heard of leopards being part of a pride. You might see a female leopard with her cubs, 2 or 3 cubs, and that would be about it. Maybe a male hanging around with her, but they are solitary by nature. You know, once the cubs can fend for themselves and hunt for themselves, Mum will let them do their own thing because they are taking all the food that she's working so hard for. There he goes. Ah, he walked down the wrong side. He didn't get my email, obviously. I wanted him to do a nice cameo right in front of us here. I wonder what he's up to. You just see his ears there. Wonder what he's spotted. I'll go around that side, Ferg. He's having a little bit of a scratch. I think I'm going to move quickly here. Thanks, Ari. and he is moving. Where he is going, we do not know, but there is a road just up ahead of us here. Just try and get in front of him. Don't want to disturb whatever it is that he might be up to. But let's see. Hello, my beautiful prince. There he is. Michelle, we have spot patterns on the faces of these leopards that will tell us who they are. First, you need to identify if it's a male and female. And by looking under the tail, that is very easy to see. I think there's something spotted up ahead. One of the other vehicles has seen something. The spot pattern just above the whiskers. You can see that there's 3 on the right-hand side and 3 on the left. Can you see the spots? He's just walking behind the car. Sorry about the back of the car. He's going to come right here and say hello to me, is he? Yes, he is. Hello, boy. He likes to come and say hello to me. You can see just under the tail his genitals there. That makes it easy to identify a male, because some are bigger than others, especially when they're young. And then that spot pattern, and then also other scars and maybe notches in the ear. And initially it's quite difficult, but when you start spending time with these animals, also you recognize them for the area that they're in. And what we've done for some time is most of the viewers back home know the leopards far better than we do, or me anyway, and they'll often tell us exactly who it is. There goes Ari from Onkoro with his guest. He's the one who called us in. Apologies for them driving into shot like that. We're going to carry on though and keep following this beautiful cat as he probably goes to the next termite mound for another little scouting out mission. Hold on there, folks. We're going off-road. It's best in these sort of sightings to try and follow the other car so that you do less sort of destruction and damage to wherever it is that you are going. You can hear some birds alarm calling there. Come on our side, Hosana. He's going to go right on top, is he? Who knows where he's going? It appears as if Fergus has forgotten to switch off his alarm. Is that time to wake up, Ferg? Okay, let's go around and see if we can get another. Every now and again I forget my phone is on silent or it vibrates. So I apologize if you did hear that noise. No one heard it until I mentioned it. Exactly. Okay, well, we're a little bit stuck here. There he goes. There he goes. Beautiful cat. Now, you're probably going to see other vehicles as he goes past them. There are 3 of us in the sighting watching the little chief. But my only concern is he is heading directly north towards Gowrie Main. There's a good chance he's going to cross. But he is... or Tristy is lying down. He's found a nice little shady spot with some nice cool soil there. It's just underneath the leaves of a bloodwood or a roundleaf teak. It's a little bit cooler in there. The shade is on the right side now. Before, he was sitting in the wrong sort of aspect of that termite mound to be getting the benefit of the shade. And it's time for a little bit of grooming. Samu, Hosana is the little chief. I know I keep saying the little prince, but Hosana means little chief. So he is sort of the prince, so to speak. And who is the little princess? Ferg, who's the princess?
It was Shongile.
Okay, yes, indeed. Indeed, it's a topic that I have been not too willing to talk about as I'm a new member to the show. Hosana had a sister. Her name was Shongile, and we have not seen her in some time. And it is quite a topic to talk about on air, and I do not know enough about it to talk about it. So she is not available. We don't know where, and that is all I can say on the matter. But what we do know, what I do know, is that leopards come and go. Leopards move through areas. They get chased, and they quite often settle somewhere. If they are still alive, they will be successful somewhere, but we have not seen her in some time. I'm not sure how long it's been, about a year, I think, that she has not been seen. but no idea where she is. But we still have the benefit of seeing this beautiful character. And what is strange is he's hanging out in his father's territory, which is normally reserved for females. Females normally stay in their sort of born or natal territory, and young males invariably move away so as not to stay in the same area and end up mating with their sisters and mothers and all that. There's a bit of genetic sort of inbreeding. So that is the general dynamic with cats. But what might have happened this time is Hosana stayed and Shongile moved off. So maybe she's somewhere else in the Kruger Park, somewhere else south in the Sabi Sands, or even in the Timbavati. Who knows? Who knows? What we do know is this is a gorgeous young cat with more character than any leopard I've ever seen. Jennifer, the general age for male leopards to start scent marking, in my opinion, is around 3. But we've seen this young 2-year-old scent marking over his dad's scent mark trail. So he's very cheeky. If he'd moved out of this area and was trying to do that in the area of another male, there would be some ramifications behind that. He would be probably found out and disciplined. But his dad doesn't seem to be doing too much in the way of disciplining or in the way of even territory marking at the moment, as we have got a new male, Hukumuri, who has moved into the area, who seems to be sort of taking over. But it is a really interesting dynamic at the moment. Those of you who've read the cat report will have seen this last week, sort of seen my comments on the movements of Hosana and his father, the Duke of Djuma, Tingana. And so it's very interesting what's going on, how these two are always around Chitwa Dam. Tingana even hanging around in the lodge itself. Had a kill in the lodge the other day. And Hosana, to me, seems like he's just jumping between the dominant male territories and just keeping under the radar and kind of also staying quite close and near to his father. We've got someone joining us in the sighting, so if you just excuse me while I speak on the radio. Afternoon, Peter. If you just come in on my left-hand side with your nose, you'll be able to get a visual in front of me there. And one of the other game lodges coming in to join. So it's possible that Hosana is going to stay like this for the next little while, because it is still quite hot. But as we know, they are always very, very opportunistic and will catch something if it comes past. Well, from our male leopard, let's go see what Brent is up to, if he's managed to find any fresh signs of Tundi. I like hearing the determination in Brent's voice about his willingness to spend time in the area, and I'm sure with that energy he will be fruitful. We can only hope. But Hosana is lying flat. He had his head up for a moment, but he's back to his original position, enjoying the shade of a very small round-leaf teak. We can pan out a bit, if you don't mind, to have a look at that bush, please. You can see the stump of the tree, because elephants enjoy these plants very, very much so. They've been broken down to just a small few little branches. Sherry, leopards can travel very far in one evening. I'm not sure how far exactly they might travel to establish a new territory, but essentially what happens is, if you look at the size of the Kruger National Park and included all the private nature reserves around, you're looking at over 4 million acres. A male leopard of about 2 years of age who might get displaced from an area because he's starting to become sort of an adult and new male moves into the area, he will move to the adjacent territory, and the same thing will happen. The male in that area will push him and he'll move to the adjacent one. So eventually he can be 50, 60, 100 kilometers away from where he was born, even more maybe. It really depends on where they find themselves and who is occupying their territory at the time. For example, with Tingana getting quite old, he doesn't seem to be as we're saying, isn't disciplining his young son at all to push him out of the area. So he's just staying. So he's now getting quite brazen in that. And a new territorial male is moving in the name of Hukumuri that I said before. And so if he doesn't chase this cat, it's very likely Hosana will just stay in the area. Maybe when he gets a little bit bigger, establish his own territory within the boundaries of the males that sort of are hemming him in at the moment. It's very interesting. The dynamics that happen here, and it's marvelous that we as Wild Earth have been able to follow these guys for over 12 years, and the dynamics of what's going on and how it's going on. These things aren't written down. They're not in any journals. They're not in any papers. The animal behavior guides do not talk about what we see. So I am quite interested to maybe put something together on a more sort of official basis to see what exactly is going on, because the Sabi Sands has got leopard data for over 60 odd years. And a lot of that is observation, and it's very easy to put observational sort of studies into a paper. So maybe that's a task for down the line, and quite an interesting one at that. Steve's Diary of Leopards. Thank you, Kirst. It's wonderful to have Kirsten back in my ear. She is back from leave and full of energy. Very excited to have her back. It's always nice when you get the after leave, everyone comes back a little bit more rejuvenated. They've managed to eat the foods they've wanted to eat and watch the movies and see the people that they've been missing, and they come back all refreshed and rejuvenated, and they bring that breath of fresh air back into camp. And she's on her first shift this afternoon, so thank you. Welcome back, Kirsten. It's wonderful to have you back. Round of applause for Kirsten and FC. Yeah, everyone's happy to have her back, I am sure. It was just Luke, okay? Just Luke giving you a round of applause. Well, at least it was someone. And Luke is also from Durban, so Kirsty's now got an ally in FC. Most people are from elsewhere in the country, so now she's got a fellow Durbanite to help support her there. Not that she needs any support. He is flat. He's not doing much. We can hear, I don't know if you can hear, we're going to have a quick little listen for the tap, tap, tap of the bearded woodpecker in the background. Also the high whistling of the grey hornbill. Let's just have a listen for a moment, shall we? Well, it appears as if the swarm of red-billed buffalo weavers en masse influenced our signal as they flew between us and the Chitwa mast. I don't think that is exactly what happened, but I think Conrad is going to put that in the tech report, that the birds influenced the signal, because that's all we can imagine. We've been in the same spot for 15 to 20 minutes without any issues, and suddenly that happened, so we have to blame it on the birds. So the storm is building in the east. What you'll normally find before the storm sort of gets too close is the wind picks up as you get this vacuum of air pulling towards the storm, as the storm itself is pulling in moisture, pulling in oxygen and air, and it causes these gusts. And before the storm even approaches, the wind picks up to such a point that would be very beneficial for a cat like Hosana to stand up and go hunting. In the shot, you can just make out the dam wall in the far background there. Remember, that's where we were earlier. We were just in front of the dam wall. So all of those hundreds of animals that were frolicking in the middle of the open grass area are between that dam and Hosana right now. And as we went in to find him before, at that last place he was seen, all the animals were hanging around and were very relaxed. Barrett, aged 5, you'd like to know how long a baby leopard sleeps for. Well, I'm not 100% sure, Barrett, but essentially what happens is Leopards sleep a huge proportion of the day because they fill themselves up, and the youngsters will go through periods of suckling for milk and then napping and then playing and then suckling, playing and then napping in no particular order. Generally, they get a bit excited after they've drunk. If they haven't drunk too much, the sugar rush that they get from drinking the milk gives them a bit of an excited spell, and then they collapse are tired. So they nap on and off sporadically. But what also happens is the mother will leave the babies in a hidden place, and she will go off on her own. And while she's away, they keep very, very still. They don't move around, they don't play, so they probably spend most of their time resting and probably going between sleep and stillness. So I hope that answers your question. But leopards in general will sleep for more than 2/3 of the day, sometimes even more. Isn't that such a lazy cat? Such a lazy cat. Mina, I'm not sure if leopards or predators dream. I know for sure that dogs I've seen in the past go through running and hunting dreams as they twitch and run in their sleep. I'm sure they're dreaming of something, but I don't know. I don't know the subconscious of these cats. I wouldn't put it past them. Why wouldn't they dream of impalas and scrub hares and warthogs, or all sorts of other interesting things that might appear in their visions? Why not? I wonder if anyone can prove that leopards don't dream, rather than do they? Can we prove that they don't? Well, that's a good question. Touche, says Kirst. Touche. It's kind of the calmness before the storm. You can feel it's very still around. There's hardly any movement of air. And I'm wondering if that storm is coming towards us. And the bearded woodpecker, since we tried to hear him, has decided that he has done his territorial drumming for the day, and we have not heard him since. You can see the wind just gently playing itself through the trees. Marvelous afternoon. The golden light will soon be on this majestic golden cat. We might even shortly turn to get you a view of the sunset as we sit here on our own, alone in the African wilderness with Hosana. Definitely one of the privileges that we have out here. I know he's not doing too much at the moment, but it's splendid just to be with him, because at any moment he could jump up and be on his way in any direction, who knows? So we will remain with him unless Kirsty tells me otherwise. And the golden light will soon be revealing itself, slowly coming through. It'll be marvelous on the grasses that surround him. A number of different grass species there. Just in the one little area, the diversity just in this little patch. And bear in mind, we are quite close to the dam, so the grass species that you find in these areas are quite resilient to disturbance, and they are actually, in fact, grass species that indicate disturbance. So a number of pioneer type species, a few subclimax. You're not likely to find too many climax species unless they are sheltered and hidden underneath the trees. So you can see in the front of the shot there, the 3-awn grass. That is the reason we wear those funny things on our socks. Well, let's quickly go to Brent and see where he's flying off to.